Welcome to Pluribus for the Rest of Us, the podcast where we talk about Pluribus twice a week. We just watched season 1, episode 4, titled Please, Carol. This is our instant take, meaning we just watched the episode. These are our unfiltered, immediate reactions to it, but we'll be back in a few days to methodically go through the episode, scene by scene, our recap and analysis. I'm Gil, by the way, here with not my brother Adam. Say hello.
Hi, how's it going? Was that a Seinfeld reference at the beginning there?
It may have been an unintentional Seinfeld reference.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was thinking Festivus for the rest of us. So
that's what I realized after, and that's what solidified it for me. I was like, you know what? It worked for Seinfeld, so it's going to work for us.
Exactly.
The other title I played with was Pluribus Podcast, and I'm glad we didn't go with that one because someone else already took it. So
okay.
So for those of you watching who've seen our previous episodes, you're like, who is this guy? Usually my brother Adam is here and my brother Daniel is here, but my boys abandoned me. So I called in another boy, a better boy, Adam from Adam Does Movies.
That's funny. I guess I haven't really done anything on your channel, really. I'm used to talking you through Tony on Hack the Movie, so it's nice actually being here with you right now, talking Pluribus.
Yeah, he's usually our intermediary. We finally got rid of him, and we can talk man to man, boy to boy.
We dumped the baggage.
Yeah, exactly. I was looking to see who can I call in without my brothers here. I saw you were covering two things. You were covering Pluribus on your channel, and you put recap in the thumbnails, not recrap. So I was like, maybe he'll actually be down to talk about it.
Yes. I'm enjoying the show. I do feel kind of like, are you watching Welcome to Derry at all?
I watched the first episode, didn't feel super compelled to watch the second one, but I might go back and catch up at some point.
Well, I mean, it hit it nicely out of the park, and then it's just been going downhill ever since. And I feel like Pluribus, to a lesser extent, is kind of doing that as well. But I'm hoping one of these episodes hits really hard. So far, it hasn't.
Yeah, I would say that, like, the difference for me, well, the funny thing is, I didn't think the first episode of It was that great. So to hear it's going downhill, you've pretty much erased any hope that I'm going to go back and rewatch it.
Right, that's what I was trying to warn you about. Yeah, it's not getting better.
But I would say with Pluribus, at least there's nothing in it where I'm like, this is terrible. It's just the pacing is a bit slow. I've personally been okay with that because I'm never bored during the show. The only part where I feel antsy is the fact that I have to wait a week between episodes. Though apparently the next episode I think is coming a day early to avoid Thanksgiving. So
that's nice. Okay,
we can wait a little bit less.
But we should point out that for whatever reason the internet on my end seems to be atrocious tonight. It's usually not a problem, but I 1,000 apologies if I'm like freezing up or going in and out, becoming a disembodied voice.
And if anybody gets angry at me or Adam for that internet issue, we're going to start convulsing. And 11 million people will die. So everyone chill.
Exactly.
Well, before we go into just how does this episode stack up against the previous three, I want to jump to the ending because I at least felt like that ending was super intense. And I feel like if people just watched it, that's what they're going to want to talk about. And basically what we saw there is Carol found a truth serum, sodium thiopental. For anybody who needs truth serum out there, that's the psychoactive drug people usually use under that truth serum umbrella. Basically something that gets you so high you'll spill the beans on anything. What did you think of this ending, Adam?
Yeah, it reminded me of Harry Potter when the truth serum stuff's going on. I was like, okay, Gandalf's going to come out soon and we're going to get the whole ball and wax. It was very intense, and then it kind of let me down where it went. I thought we were going to get some crazy reveal, like Pirate Lady was going to suddenly be really honest and go, yeah, Carol, you're going to become one of us and essentially die. Every part of you will be gone except for your memories because we're essentially just algorithms now. And that would have been wild stuff. But instead, it kind of just did what we've been seeing where they kind of freak out and convulse a bit. And we end with a harsh black cut. Not bad. Like you said, I'm still wanting to watch more of it, that's always a nice thing. But it's definitely feeling like season 1 of Better Call Saul without the emotional aspect of it. Better Call Saul had that brother dynamic that worked so well, I thought, even if the episodes were kind of slow rolling the Jimmy to Saul transition for like 3 seasons or 4 seasons.
Right.
I don't know. This is. I said this in my last episode on my channel when I recapped it. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop on this show, where the other big thing to take place that says, okay, this is where the game's going, and we haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah, I was listening to your review earlier, and I feel similarly in the sense that at the end of every episode, I'm like, how do you keep this going for another episode, let alone another season, let alone the fact that Vince Gilligan has said, I could see it going for 4 seasons, probably possibly
4 or
more.
5, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, unless they introduce some new element, it's very hard to see how they do it. But then I keep seeing, okay, this episode starts by looking at the guy in Paraguay. So I'm like, okay, looking at it from another perspective. That's one way you keep it going a little bit. This episode escalated in a couple of ways. Probably the biggest thing is that Carol, last episode, basically was okay with, let me just veg out for the rest of eternity until they convert me and watch Golden Girls. But here she gets her hope back. She sees that there's at least, she believes now that there's a way to reverse all this because of the kind of non-answer they gave, which essentially was an answer. Right. That's kind of the big shift this episode. So presumably she'll be more proactive the rest of the season.
Yeah, the intro was all right. Vince Gilligan really likes to slow burn some of that stuff. You had the Hispanic guy living out of a storage unit, and the people are still the pods. Do we have a name for these guys yet? So
behind the scenes, they call everyone who's been assimilated, they call them the others, and anyone who has not assimilated, they call old schoolers.
Okay, the others from Lost. That's what we're doing with this. Okay, I don't really want to be reminded of that show, but fine. The others. I don't like that. The infected. I don't love the Borg. Yeah,
I think as long as they don't say it on the show and it becomes like the standard, if it stays behind the scenes and you only hear it if you listen to like the Insider podcast or this podcast, I'm okay with it.
But even from the Insider podcast, I don't like the term "the others" because it was used in Lost. That was the best they could come up with. Pod peoples, that's there. How about just pluribus? The pluribus.
That's what I was calling them last episode. The pluribuses. That doesn't really roll off the tongue, though, to be honest.
Well, pluribus is plural because it's of many, right? Isn't that the definition of it? It's
true.
Of many.
But I think the face that stares, he has the answer here. We call them the plurbs. I like it.
Plurbs. Okay, I'm going to go with that. I like that because it also reminds me of The Burbs, which was a fun movie. So the plurbs are feeding this guy at the beginning too, and obviously he doesn't want anything to do with that poisoned food possibly. So instead he decides to start opening up all the other storage lockers, and all he finds are a few cans of dog food, and he had a little one like of those sugar packets, sugar packet, and one of those whole milks. Take a little shot of it.
Oh yeah,
and. Really, that's all we got from him. And he wrote down Carol's name because we got his perspective of her calling him, trying to connect. And he thought she was one of the plurbs. I'm already using it. And eventually he's like, oh, shit, she's like me. I'm going to make a note. And I guess we're going to find out where that goes at some point.
Yeah, the opening. So I talked about this on one of our previous streams, but Vince Gilligan says that one thing that really imprinted on him was years ago. He read Stephen King's book on writing. And one thing Stephen King said is that people love to watch process. They love to see people just doing things competently. And I feel like he really took that to heart. It's like we're watching this guy write down a radio station, turn it, wait for the timer to go off, write down the next one. But I will admit, like, this is how, now I'm obviously very biased. Like, I covered Better Call Saul for a few seasons. I've become a Vince Gilligan fanboy. So I'm watching and I'm like, I can't wait to see what happens next. But I know he's going to get the call from Carol, and it really is just what we expected.
You're talking to a huge fan of his stuff too. I mean, Breaking Bad is my favorite drama of all time, and I have 2 kids, and I shit you not, like every year that goes by, I go, okay, they're close to the age where we can watch Breaking Bad with them. And my daughter, who's 16 now, we actually just started watching Breaking Bad. We're on the 4th episode. And even that show is kind of a slow burn in the first season, but man, it hits hard right out of the gates. I do agree with you though. I love watching all the kind of day-to-day workaholic stuff. Even in that first episode when they're synthesizing the genes and they're just like bringing the donuts to the front desk. I was really hooked on where those donuts were going to go and who was going to take them. It just would be nice if there was a bit more substance behind the donuts. You know, what's underneath this? What's underneath the sprinkles of this show?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it almost feels like this is an extension of an experiment Vince Gilligan started with Better Call Saul. He was like, what if we did Breaking Bad, but paced it even slower? And now Pluribus is like, let's take a step back. Now, the funny thing is we say that, a lot's happened. But when you start with an alien invasion, it sets the bar very high. And so then everything that's happening, I think, feels very small in comparison. But like,
and again, shows like Lost have kind of ruined everybody because they end every episode on such a ridiculous cliffhanger where there's like a polar bear on one episode and then there's like a dead horse on another one. You're like, whoa, what's going on? Right. And so when these episodes just end with like a quote from Golden Girls, you're not quite as hooked for the next one.
It's true.
But no, there's some good stuff. I liked watching them fill up the supermarket again. That was basically all of episode 3. Holy shit, they're efficient at this.
I will say this. So going back to the ending, I want to expand a little bit on why I enjoyed it so much.
Please.
And I think the biggest thing is probably, at this point, we have seen a group of people walking in unison several times, but it's always felt just harmless. It's the plurbs have never really felt creepy to me. Even in the first episode where they're all talking at the same time, I kind of expected that because they'd hinted enough at the premise going in. I was like, I know it's a hive mind. This was the first time they felt creepy because this is the first time I've seen them walking toward Carol, and it felt menacing and not just totally harmless. When they started saying, please, Carol, over and over again, and they have the tears streaming down their face, that felt like, if that was in a horror movie, that would be like the iconic moment where everyone talks about. Like, it's the please Carol moment. And it did the fun thing that Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul used to do, where it has a title that by the end of the episode, the title takes on such significance. We're like, oh, that's why it was called that. In a more clever way, I don't want to keep complaining about it. You didn't hear us complain about this, but they call it grenade, and it's like wink, wink. And I'm like, no, not wink, wink. Especially when you put in the synopsis, the conversation ends with a bang. The grenade's going to explode. That's a spoiler. That's not like a little... Please, Carol, though. I have no idea what that means. And now at the end, I know what it means. And it's very effective, I thought.
So you actually read the title in the little synopsis before you watch the episode? Oh, okay.
I try not to. Okay. But like even tonight, for instance, as soon as episode 4 became available, the episode 5 thumbnail and synopsis was already there. And I quickly averted my eyes, but I at least saw the image.
I never pay attention to them. I just quickly see the thumbnail. I'm a very visual learner. So anyway, and I can't read, of course. So any words are just like hieroglyphics to me. They mean nothing.
Yeah, what are all these funny symbols?
Yeah, exactly. Someone could just translate that, encode them for me. What else happens? So she gets a cop car. I do like the dark humor in this and just kind of the silliness that Gilligan infuses in the stories with just the people saying hi to her, and she does a drive-by flip-off to the people on the side. That was nice. I guess that would bring me to a question I have for you, which you've probably addressed already, but what do you think of Carol in general as a character? Because like you said, Vince has played an experiment, I think, with his shows where Better Call Saul gets slower. It's still Breaking Bad-esque adjacent. It's got a lot of the same characters, but it's slower moving. This one, I feel like, is going even slower. And on top of that, he's giving us an unlikable character to follow, whereas Jimmy was a fantastically lovable character. And so was even Walt for the first, I would say most of the seasons. He's still great. And Pinkman, of course. What do you think of Carol, though?
Yeah, I never have thought of her as unlikable. I see where it comes from because she's a miserable person. And we talked about this a bunch in our last stream. But I think it's a tough balance because miserable people, even if you fully understand why they're miserable and it's logical that they would be miserable, they're still unpleasant to be around. So you have to balance it out. And they usually, in movies and shows, balance it out with humor. That's the example I always go to is like Dr. House. Like that show would be unwatchable if he wasn't so witty and hilarious. And I feel like Carol is pretty funny. Like this episode, the whole heroin conversation, using that as the cover, I found so funny.
Yeah.
And I think even Carol, like internally, probably finds that funny. Like she can see the humor in the situation. And I think the two other qualities that kind of balance out the cynical side of her, number one, she is always quick to jump to help somebody. Every time someone's been in danger near her, she immediately tries to help them.
Yes.
And on a grander scale, of all of the old schoolers we've met, she is the only one, other than this guy we met this episode, heard about last episode, who seems to actually want to save the world. So I found those people in episode 2 insufferable. I hated them. And then by comparison, that puts her even higher on the pedestal, where I'm like, somebody's looking out for us and trying to save us from the hive mind. So I think it's a tough thing to straddle. I think if it went on too long with the kind of vegging out episode 3, I'm just miserable mode, that would be bad. But I think turning the corner this episode where she's starting to get more hope and be more proactive, I think that helps. I think this is one of those shows where if it was all released at once, there are people who are not enjoying the show now, where I think they would maybe have an easier time with it if they released all the episodes at once. That's not my preference. I like the slow drip. But
or maybe they would just find her so insufferable that they wouldn't continue on if they were watching back to back to back. Because
it could be. It could just be an overdose.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like her as a character. I can see why some can't stand her for sure. But to me, she's kind of a little bit Larry David adjacent. She doesn't like the bullshit. She doesn't. And I do think it is wise that Vince wants to put her in settings that let her be a little jaded and cynical, but they're not outright negative for negativity's sake. Like at the beginning of the 3rd episode, when they go to that ice palace to stay overnight, had he put her in this tropical, beautiful, like a sandals resort or something, and she's still like, ugh, the sun,
what's your problem?
The sand, the ocean, come on. But I mean, I was kind of on her side with the ice palace. Like, I'm paying a lot of money to sleep on freaking ice cubes. This is insane. I was Team Carol through that. So he is using her, I think, in a wise way where, yes, she's coming off very negative and cynical, but she has a point most of the time. It's just how she shows it that may be a little bit abrasive for some.
Right. And like I was saying earlier, I think even if there is, like, she just lost her wife. And she lost the entire human race. It's like, might there be a reason she's a little unhappy? But the thing is, like I said before, even if there's a reason someone's unhappy, it's still not fun to be around them. And she's effectively the only character on the show. So it's a risky choice. And I like your Larry David comparison, because that's such a love it or hate it character where I love that character, and I'm like, I so identify with him. And then people are like, he's such an asshole, I can't stand him. And I'm like, hey.
You don't like me then. Yeah, well, the thing about Larry that's great is I agree with him like 90% of the time on Curb Your Enthusiasm with his little scenarios, but I'm not wealthy, so I don't have the balls to just be an asshole. But I feel like if you have a ton of money, you have nothing to lose, and people will like you regardless, so it doesn't matter. He has that up on me for sure. As far as this episode in particular, I think it was about, I liked it a little bit more than 4, to be honest. And that's to your point where she was just so mopey in 3. It was hard to really enjoy much there. But here she's kind of got a spring in her step because of the new reveal. She had her whiteboard with the 5 or 6 bullet points. She has established that they cannot lie to her. The plurbs cannot lie. They have to be brutally honest. She had that questionnaire with that biker guy with the most awkward body type I've ever seen. I'm body shaming a little bit, but I mean, they chose him for that reason, I know. And outside of the ending, it was okay. It was an okay ride.
Yeah, I think I said last episode, it was almost just a status quo. Like, what is it like to live in this world? And I see the value in that. But I was thinking we can't have another episode like this. Something has to start moving. And something has at least started to move this episode. By the way, that scene with the biker guy, when she's like, aren't you the mayor? MJ, shout out to you in the chat. And I looked online, and just looking at a picture of him, I believe you're right that was actually the mayor of Albuquerque.
Oh wow,
So
nice.
big. I guess it's appropriate. Like Vince Gilligan has been the biggest friend to Albuquerque for the last 20
Yes.
years. So
Well, that's cool. I didn't. A nice little bit of trivia there.
yeah. Uh,
Did they have a trailer for next week? Because the internet or Apple's crappy app was so bad I couldn't watch anything past the credits.
if there was a trailer, I didn't watch it. I don't watch
Okay.
the next time on preview.
Okay.
I won't even do it if it means getting a better thumbnail that's actually relevant to the episode. I maybe should start doing that though.
It's okay.
I'm
People
just
will
gonna start
find
using
it if
your
they're
picture. I'm gonna grab all the different facial expressions you've made if you like or hate something and just use those.
Have you picked up on the fact that I shot, I think 15 different dumb faces or just like different faces in general, and I just reuse those. I just reuse them for every
I
thumbnail.
have noticed that. It was part of what made me realize when I was putting my faces in thumbnails, I was always scrubbing through the video trying to find the perfect expression. And I was like, wait, why don't I just make the face that I want? Why am I making all this work for myself?
Exactly. I think there was a point in time when I had 5 of the same photo in a row, but I just like would add a hat on it in Photoshop or just change the tint of the face a little bit. Like, this is getting even a little lazy for me. I better switch it up.
See, this is why I texted you earlier tonight and I was like, you have to be my guide as I'm doing this shift in my channel. So that's some of the little simple things that you could tell me.
Well, now that you're on the grind train and you're not putting in all this work, making your beautifully long, detailed videos, you're one of us pathetic dirt people in the trash. A plurb, really, you're a plurb of YouTube now. You have to find ways to cut corners, and one of them is thumbnail creation.
Perfect.
And by the way, same face.
If any of my, I don't know what to call them, some of like the mainstream one takers who don't watch the live streams and like the more niche content, if you happen to wander in here and you heard that and you're like, what? I am still making timelines. Don't worry. I'm just also doing the plurb Adam stuff.
That's
so
well. That's nice to hear. I didn't know if you were actually doing the timeline stuff. That's great. You plan on doing them like once a month or a few times a month?
It's basically going to be based on are there releases in a major franchise? Then I will time a timeline release around that. So like,
you doing anything for Wicked?
Wicked, yeah. I think I'll be pass on that one.
Okay. You're doing Scream.
Yeah, Scream 7's coming up, so I'll do a timeline on the Scream movies.
Beautiful.
We can wrap up here shortly because this instant take, if we go too long, it becomes a regular take, and we can't have that. But you kind of brought up that list she made. I feel like that was the other major element of this episode, was just more poking and prodding from Carol. Finally, I think her disposition at first was, let me just avoid them because they're aliens, and that's weird, and I don't know if they're going to shoot me with their ray gun or assimilate me. But now she's getting more comfortable, so there's a lot of poking and prodding. And you kind of already mentioned it, but I found it satisfying to see her take out the whiteboard. I was like, okay, here we go. And I
found it more satisfying that there was a second whiteboard behind the first one.
And people say there's no twists in this show. I didn't see that second whiteboard coming.
If she busts out a third whiteboard at some point, I'm going to lose my shit.
It's going to be that meme of the wrestling guy where he's like, oh, and more excited each time. Exactly. Third whiteboard, Adam's going to fall out of his chair.
It's the double rainbow of whiteboards.
That's exactly. All right, this is the big thing. People love speculation. That's what it's all about. Theories. Any thoughts on where we go next? Will Zosha die? Shout out to this nice person in the chat who asked that question.
Pirate Lady will live. We will see her again. Maybe she's a bit altered though. There's a twist they could do here where she possibly has a near-death experience, and maybe part of the assimilation is detached, or maybe we get her as a normal person. That could be wild.
I kept thinking that when they said she has a severe concussion. I was like, wait, next episode 4, she's no longer attached to the hive. My brothers made the point that in all of the work that the plurbs are doing right now, people are probably accidentally getting hurt here and there. They mentioned last episode the hospitals are still running. So you'd think that would be happening, but would we know about it if it was happening? If on the other side of the world someone gets a concussion and they're no longer part of the hive mind, we wouldn't necessarily know about it. But yeah, now that she's given her this big dose of truth serum, she's had a near-death experience. A couple questions for me. Yeah, is it going to alter her experience at all? Or another question is, does it when she was under the influence of the truth serum, was there any issue with her connection to the others? Are they gonna do they know what Carol and Zosha talked about? And the thing is, Carol was kind of yelling at Zosha as they all approached. So even if they didn't know it from the connection with Zosha initially, they know it now. So it'll be hard to kind of parse that out.
Yeah, they did make a point early on to let the audience know. I think it was in either the first or second episode that they are all one mind, but they are also individual in terms of physically what happens to them. I don't know what that means. So I guess if she's drugged, she's the only one that's drugged, and the rest of the mind is still operating at full capacity, which seems a little odd to me. But I guess that's just how it works. Like, I get the physical being separate, but when you're changing the mental state and everybody's connected to that mental state, I guess it's just a root, right? There's the trunk of the tree, and then there's the root. Maybe the root's just a little infected.
It's like, I guess it's like the difference between the mind and the physical body. Like in this episode, they mentioned that they have a whole wing of people who are trying to get over physical addiction. They specified physical, to heroin and various drugs. So I guess it's similar. If the body is physically high or drunk, that doesn't affect the rest of the hive mind, I guess.
I mean, but they did freak out at the end because I guess they sensed she was in distress. Obviously part of it's connected still.
Unless that was grief. I was going to say grief that they're losing one of them, but we've seen them lose millions and they weren't really in grief. So maybe it was, it's hard to say. I mean, maybe the new Carol, who's more proactive and asking questions, might question this a bit next episode. It might maybe shed some light. But I think that's my big prediction in terms of where Carol goes next. I don't think the hive mind holds a grudge. I think she can literally continue this quest just as if she wanted to, she could try the same thing again, grab another one of them and give them some truth serum. I don't think they're going to be too aggressive in trying to stop her.
Extending out further, do you think she will even meet up with the did we get the name for the Hispanic gentleman?
I don't think they said it in the episode, but looking at the Insider podcast, Manusis, I think is his name.
Okay. Do you think she even meets up with Manusis in season 1?
I feel like if it would be I was gonna say it'd be weird if she doesn't, but knowing how slow this show and Vince Gilligan's shows can go, it could be a while.
I feel like it'll be either season 1 ending or they just don't meet up at all this season. Because I mean, Better Call Saul, there was characters that didn't meet up for like 3 seasons straight, so I would not be surprised if he builds that out.
Like the Mike story and the Jimmy story, like they intersected for a second and then they split up, and I'm like, okay, they're gonna reconnect. Okay, not in season 2. All right, season 3, they gotta reconnect soon. I'm like, it is literally 2 different shows glued together at some point.
Mike was like underground for a full season working on the meth lab from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, Vince Gilligan always says, I'm character driven. I'm never, even if I want the show to go in a certain direction, I'm not gonna force it, and it's to a fault. So he's like, and so sometimes that means things will be very slow, but that means when things happen, they land with a lot of impact. But it's a dangerous game. It's got you can't stretch it out too long.
All right. Well, this was a lot of fun. I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks for coming. You bailed me out. This was a big help, and I had a lot of fun. I'm glad we finally got to do this because I miss we used to stream together on Tony's channel. It's been a while, and I've been looking for a way for us to reconnect, and we did it.
We made it happen. And if you need me ever again, if your brother bails or you just want a third, ear to throw in, I'm here. I'll listen.
All right. Beautiful. So, you know what? I so appreciate that. I'm going to invite you into our little ritual. The way we close out every episode is I'm going to say, I'm Gil. You say, I'm Adam. And then in sync, we say, and this is Pluribus for the rest of us. That's what we used to do for Saulcast. It doesn't roll off the tongue quite as well, but we just force it to work. Talking Targaryen for House of the Dragon, we would yell Dracarys, and the whole screen would explode, Mr. Beast style. But first, the usual housekeeping. Like I said, this was the instant take, our immediate reactions. Maybe we got some stuff wrong. We just watched it. Everyone relax, all right? We'll be back in a few episodes with our full take, where we methodically go through the episode, recap the whole thing scene by scene. By then, I've listened to the Insider podcast. I'm going to pull in all the behind the scenes stuff, all the details. So we'll see you there. With that, I'm Gil.
And I'm Adam.
And this is Pluribus for the rest of us.